Technical problems? Technical problems? Okay.
No problems. ఎవరు ఇలా పెట్టేప్పుడు నేను వేలు దాని గురించి చెప్తాను. हरि शं नो मित्रस्यं वरुणः शं नो भवत्वर्यमा शं न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शं नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वामेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. So now we pass on to the next stanza.
Et maintenant, nous passons au stanza suivant.
The 10th and 11th lines in
La ligne
page
10
2.
et la ligne 11 de la page 2. Donc à la page 2, la ligne 10 et 11.
प्रमुञ्च धन्वनस्त्वमुभयोरार्त्नियोर्जां याश्च ते हस्त इषव पराता भगवो वपा. So that is the stanza. So we start with the word meaning. Bhagavaha. So this is in this stanza, it is an addressal to Lord Rudra. So Bhagavaha means, O God, O Lord.
Donc ici, le mot Bhagavaha est utilisé pour s'adresser au Seigneur Rudra, et donc la traduction c'est ô Dieu.
Dhanvanaha, of the bow. Dhanas means bow. Dhanvanaha means of the bow.
Dhana veut dire l'arc. Et Dhanvana veut dire de l'arc.
Ubhayoh. Ubhayoh means of the both.
Ubayo veut dire du bateau.
Artniyoh. Artniyoh means in both the edges. Artniyoh. Both the edges. When you have the sword or also the bow, but bow you have both the edges. One edge.
Oh, ok. Donc, Artniyaha veut dire les deux côtés de l'arc, donc la partie supérieure et la partie inférieure. Les extrêmes où est attachée la corde en fait.
Jam. Jam means the string which you bind to both the edges of the bow.
Et jam veut dire la corde de l'arc.
Tvam means thou or you.
Your, yeah. Tvam veut dire vous ou votre.
Pramuncha. Pramuncha means please release.
Pramuncha veut dire s'il vous plaît, lâchez.
Yah means those which are.
Yah veut dire ceux qui sont.
Te means your.
Te veut dire votre.
Haste in the hands.
Haste qui est dans les mains.
In the hand. Ishavaha. Ishavaha means
God.
the arrows.
Ah. Et Ishava veut dire les flèches.
Ta cha. Those also.
Tacha veut dire cela aussi.
Para vapa. Keep them away.
Et para vapa veut dire tenez-les loin.
So the total meaning of this stanza is an addressal. O Lord Rudra, please release the string which is bound to the both ends of the bow, and also keep away the arrows which are held in your hand. That is the request or prayer to the Lord Rudra.
Et la signification totale de cette phrase est donc: Ô Seigneur Rudra, s'il vous plaît, lâchez la corde qui relie les deux bouts de l'arc et aussi éloignez au plus les flèches que vous tenez en main.
So when the string is tied to the bow on both sides, that means the bow is ready to shoot. Only when someone is going to shoot, to fight or to kill or to destroy, then only the string is tied to both the ends.
Et donc quand la corde est reliée d'un bout à l'autre de l'arc, ça veut dire que l'arc est prêt à être utilisé, qu'il est prêt à tirer, et ce n'est qu'à ce moment-là qu'on peut l'utiliser.
So Rudra has both the capacities. One, he can be a destroyer when there is an evil force, a demonic force, then he uses his power to destroy. He is a destroyer. When there is something good, something to be protected, he can protect. So, tying the string indicates destruction or to dispel the evil. Releasing the string and that implies like just taking care, and then there is no, when the string is released, that is a mark that there is nothing to fight or destroy. So that is the phase of Rudra where he is not fierce, he is pleasant, and he is taking care, he is protecting. So here it is a prayer that please release the string on us, because we surrender to you. We surrender to you for protection. So to protect, please be a protector and release the string of your bow. That is the prayer.
Donc il y a deux phases ou deux visages, si vous voulez, à Rudra. Il peut protéger, et quand son arc n'est pas lié à la corde, il est en phase de protection, mais quand il y a danger, il commence à tirer la corde sur son arc, et alors il va détruire. Et donc quand on dit relâchez la corde de votre arc, on veut dire s'il vous plaît, nous nous rendons à vous, nous nous mettons dans vos mains, et lâchez la corde par rapport à nous. Donc protégez-nous, en d'autres termes.
When you see the bow, so this bow also indicates our head and our vertebral column. Generally, this is normally we show this bow, but generally the bow, real bow, You have this curve, and this is straight is to hold where you hold it, and another curve, and then this both the ends where the string is tied. So here, when you observe, so when our head, our skull, is starting from our skull, it takes a curve, and then our vertebral column, and then coming here, at the end of the vertebral column, there is another curve. So this is explained in the Vedic science. This is explained as the bow, and this bow has so much of power. In our vertebral column, all these powers are kept latent. In our vertebral column, we have many times we have studied that there are the nadis, and there is high energy in the vertebral column, which is high electric charge we have. So this is explained symbolically as the bow in the hands of Rudra.
Donc l'arc, dans ce cas-ci, symbolise aussi notre tête et notre colonne vertébrale. Vous pouvez voir, la première courbe symbolise la tête, puis le reste c'est la colonne vertébrale, et en dessous de la deuxième courbe c'est notre coccyx. Alors cette colonne vertébrale comprend beaucoup de nadis, beaucoup d'énergie et beaucoup de charge électrique. Et donc tout cet ensemble est donc l'arc dans la main du Seigneur Rudra.
What happens after a lumbar puncture? What happens after a lumbar puncture?
Lumbar puncture.
Yeah, with all these
Yes.
electric charges.
Yes. In the central canal of the vertebral column, we have the very high electromagnetic power, electric charge, which is in a gaseous form in this central canal, and it is a charge. It is not a substance, it is not a material, but it is to a certain extent in a gaseous form, but it is an electric charge. And so the whole central canal, we can call central bore and canal, which is called Sushumna, which is also called the Agni Nadi of the fire in us. It is filled with this charge, electromagnetic charge. And when you insert a needle into this, and when you draw the needle back, then you get a liquid. It is just like, for example, when you pass water vapor through a rubber tube, you boil the water, and the boiling water, the water is from liquid, it is transformed into vapor, gaseous state, from liquid state. And this vapor passes through the rubber tube. But when you insert a needle into the tube, when you draw the needle back, then again there is a condensation, and the vapor comes through the needle, it comes out in the form of drops of water. It is condensed again to liquid state. So, generally, in the normal medical science, since there is no knowledge of all this, there is no significance known by the medical science about these nadis and their importance and the electromagnetic phenomenon, all this is not known to the medical science at all. They only know the anatomy. They only know the vertebral column, and for them, vertebral column is something which is built with the vertebrae and the space in between, and only this, and about this central canal and about this charge, they don't know. They only think, because when they insert needle and then draw, then they get a liquid, and this liquid they call cerebrospinal fluid, CSF, cerebrospinal fluid. They don't know what this fluid, what is the function of this fluid also. If you can ask any of the professor of either neurology professor or professor of anatomy, you ask anybody, they will only say, yes, there is liquid, cerebrospinal liquid, it is light from the brain, it is there, the liquid flowing. But what for is this liquid? What is the purpose? What it is made of, this is all not explained. They only say there is liquid. So they draw the liquid out. So when they are drawing out, it is coming into liquid because it is condensed by the process of condensation. So this is high electric charge which is there in the gaseous state, is condensed into liquid. And the fact is, for each individual, the quantum of this charge is given in a fixed quantum for that life. So, if you disturb this, or if you draw this out, you are disturbing this quantum of this charge, which you cannot replace. It is not possible for the medical fellow to do anything afterwards. They don't know and they cannot replace. This is something which you cannot replace. Then what happens is, when you draw this out, it changes the quality of life of the person. So once if you draw this out, then you cannot make the person regain that quality of life. He may live for many years, but no more that quality of life is there. It should be. So it is not at all advisable to allow those fellows to draw this cerebrospinal fluid out.
And is it more or less the same when they give a peridural?
Peridural.
Because then they inject something.
Yeah.
They don't take out, but they put something in. Which is not
That's
normal
also
either.
disturbing. Yeah. Anything what they do to meddle with this is not this they do because of ignorance. That's sheer ignorance, scientific ignorance.
The quality of life, do you mean on the physical body or also on the mental
On
body?
all the levels. On all the levels. Especially the essence of their vitality, their vital force. That is affected.
Ananta, now it's very common to give anesthesia during
Yes, that is.
That's exactly what I said. Yeah,
Yes, that is the peridural.
Yes. I'll come to it.
Yes. So that is due to ignorance. When once you do that, that changes, and which you cannot regain this by any means. For that life, it is finished.
They do that on babies.
Yes. Yes.
Because they don't understand the baby, because it's not speaking. So they want to know if there is something directly there.
Yeah. They do all the things because of ignorance.
Yeah.
They think that they are scientific and they are advanced, but in fact they are ignorant and childish.
Donc, dans le canal central de notre colonne vertébrale, nous avons une charge électrique qui est en forme gazeuse. C'est une charge, ce n'est pas un truc matériel. Et ceci se trouve dans le Agni Nadi. Agni veut dire feu. Il est aussi appelé le Sushumna. Quand on insère une aiguille là-dedans et on retire, on a un liquide. Mais c'est tout comme on prend de l'eau qu'on va bouillir et par après l'eau change en état gazeux. Et quand on le passe par un tube en caoutchouc, il va de nouveau se concrétiser en liquide. Et donc quand on met une aiguille dans le tube en caoutchouc, on retire un liquide. Et la médecine traditionnelle ne sait pas comment fonctionne tout cela, et donc il retire du liquide cérébrospinal, et ils ne connaissent pas les fonctions de ce liquide, mais le gros souci c'est que ce genre de liquide est différent pour toute personne, et on n'en a qu'une quantité limitée par vie. Et ce liquide règle notre force vitale. Et donc, quand on fait une ponction lombaire, on change la qualité de vie d'une personne. Et on peut pas la regagner. Donc, c'est fini pour cette vie-là. Et c'est pas que la force vitale, mais c'est donc, c'est pas seulement au niveau physique, mais aussi au niveau mental. Donc, on perd une partie de notre énergie. Définitivement.
C'est du gaz.
Pardon?
C'est liquide seulement quand il sort.
Ce liquide sort?
C'est liquide quand c'est sorti, mais dedans c'est pas liquide.
On peut plus le remettre et il ne se régénère pas, donc il est perdu.
Oui, mais dedans c'est pas liquide.
Dedans c'est un gaz, tu veux que je répète? D'accord. En fait c'est une charge, il a dit, donc c'est dans l'état gazeux.
It is originally in the gaseous state, and a part of it is in gaseous state, but it is actually still higher.
Et en fait, on dit que c'est l'état gazeux, mais c'est même pas l'état gazeux, c'est encore plus haut, c'est une énergie en fait.
But when you start to dry it out, then it is condensed.
Donc c'est comme tout à l'heure je disais avec le tube en caoutchouc, tu te souviens. Donc c'est en fait ça. Mais le gaz, bien sûr, nous on peut le voir, on peut le voir s'évader, mais en fait ce qui est dans le Sushumna est encore plus haut. Donc on l'appelle gaz, mais ce n'est pas un gaz, c'est plus haut encore.
There will be change of state.
Et ça change d'état par rapport à l'intérieur qu'à l'extérieur. Donc quand on l'extrait, il change de forme. Tout comme l'eau qui peut être gazeux ou qui peut être liquide. Et c'est donc la même chose pour la péridurale. Quand on injecte quelque chose, on change et on va détruire ou on va changer la qualité de vie de la personne. Et le truc, c'est qu'on ne peut pas le regagner par après. C'est quelque chose qui est perdu à tout jamais, enfin, pas tout jamais, mais dans cette vie-ci en tout cas.
So the central canal is very, very tiny canal at the center of the vertebral column. It runs along the vertebral column from the head to the coccyx, to the end of the vertebral column. You find this canal, and this is filled with this charge. And this is a spiral energy. That is why it is called Kundalini.
Donc ce canal court en dessous de la tête jusqu'au coccyx, et c'est une force qui est en forme de spirale. C'est pour cela qu'on l'appelle Kundalini.
So this energy which is there filled in this canal is this such a high power energy which keeps vibrating in this central canal. That is because energy is in the level of vibration. That is why it is Rudras who are responsible for this. So the plane of vibration. So it keeps vibrating This energy keeps vibrating in the central canal of the vertebral column.
Donc l'énergie est en forme de vibration, parce que c'est pour cela que Rudra les gouverne. Donc l'énergie vitale ou la force vitale est une pulsation, c'est une vibration. Et ça continue à bouger tout le temps, tout le temps, tout le temps.
And on both sides of this central bore, you have another two nadis. On the right side, there is what is called Ida, which is the solar nadi. And then on the left side, you have Pingala, the lunar nadi.
Et donc, à côté, à gauche et à droite de ce canal central qu'on appelle donc le nadi de feu, on a le nadi de la lune d'un côté et de l'autre côté du soleil. Et donc Ida veut dire soleil et Pingala c'est la lune.
Because all the manifestation of the form of our planet and also form of the beings and all the manifestation is because of the interaction of the solar and lunar activities. It is solely lunar activity.
Et donc toutes les manifestations qu'on a sur cette terre sont grâce à l'interaction entre l'énergie de la lune et l'énergie du soleil.
Sun gives life. Our life force is coming from the sun's rays, and the form, body, is coming. It is formed due to the rays of the moon.
Donc la force qu'on a en nous, la force vitale, vient du soleil, et la forme, donc le corps même, vient de la lune.
So the sustaining force, which we call the vital force, the sustaining force is from the sun, and the form is from the moon. But what is coming as the rays of the moon is only the reflection of the rays of the sun only. So the rays of the sun, when directly it is coming, it gives us the vital force, the force and energy, and the ray of the sun reaches moon and reflects from moon. So this reflected ray, it is actually coming from the sun, but it is reaching the moon and being reflected. And this reflected ray is the lunar ray. And this lunar ray is responsible for the process of phenomenon of fertilization, reproduction.
Et donc la force qui nous soutient, qui nous garde en vie, c'est la force vitale, et celle-là, elle est dérivée du soleil, et la forme, donc le corps, est dérivé de la lune, et en fait ce qui vient de la lune est aussi du soleil, parce que c'est une réflexion du soleil par la lune qui nous arrive. Et donc, ces rayons-là sont des rayons qui sont utilisés pour la reproduction.
Therefore, sun is called the father, moon is called the mother.
C'est pour cela qu'on dit que le soleil est le père et la lune est la mère.
If only father is there is no possibility of having a form without mother. So, father is the seed principle, and mother is the principle of germination. So for germination on this planet, moon is responsible. Germination of the seed or the embryo, formation of embryo, all this is because of moon. So moon is responsible.
Et donc on peut dire que la forme de la semence est une forme solaire, tandis que la germination, le processus de la germination, c'est plutôt une forme lunaire.
And all this phenomenon of germination of seed or the formation of embryo, development of embryo, is connected with the element water, and water is governed by moon.
Et donc, toute formation de germination, aussi la formation des embryos, est donc connectée à l'eau. Et la déité qui gouverne l'eau, c'est la lune.
So the movement of moon, since moon governs this activity, this function, the movement of the moon, it governs the system of the hormonal and reproductive system in the body of the woman. So that is why you have the menstrual cycle for 28 days in a healthy woman. So this 28 days is the period of movement of moon to make one cycle on the zodiac. It takes 28 days to complete the zodiac.
Et donc, le mouvement de la lune gouverne tout le système reproductif, donc surtout aussi le système reproductif de la femme qui, chaque 28 jours, a ses règles, et donc c'est comparable à la lune qui a besoin de 28 jours pour faire un cycle complet dans le zodiaque.
So the element of water is governed by moon. That is why when you observe the ocean on full moons and new moons, how there you find changes on full moon, new moons is magnetic points, and full moon and new moon, the water of the ocean, you have ebb and tide. So this you can observe, and this is directly an evident, this is directly a proof for the so-called scientists, because they are not aware of all these things. This modern science, they are not aware of all these connections. They know, but they know ocean and ebb and tide. They can, but why it is, how it is connected? What is the power which is governing this? It is moon's rays. That is not known to the modern science. Still.
And there's another one that I read somewhere in Vedic astrology, I think. If you plant all the things that grow under the ground, you have to start from new moon.
Yes.
And if you plant things that grow above the ground, you have to start from full moon.
Yes, there are
and
rules.
It works.
It works, yes. There are very precise rules.
I didn't know, but now that I started planting, it's obvious.
And also in the Ayurvedic science, because all these sciences are connected. In Ayurvedic science also, when you have to take out some herbs to prepare medicine, a particular time is given for it, because each herb has its own quality and its own connection with which it works. So according to that, they know precisely when they have to collect the herb to prepare the medicine. Then only it will be effective.
Donc on a le mouvement de la Lune qui gouverne beaucoup plus de systèmes qu'on le soupçonne. Par exemple, l'eau est gouvernée par la Lune, donc quand on observe l'océan ou un lac par exemple, nous trouvons des changements dans le lac à la Lune pleine et à la Lune nouvelle. Et donc on a une force magnétique qui est exercée par la Lune sur les flaques d'eau. Et donc, la science reconnaît déjà ça, parce que ça, ils peuvent le voir, ils peuvent le contrôler et le tester. Mais par exemple, ce qu'ils ne savent pas, c'est que les herbes, par exemple, il y a aussi un temps ou un moment bien spécifique pour les cueillir, pour qu'ils fonctionnent optimalement dans la préparation des médicaments faits, parce que les herbes aussi sont connectées de la façon énergétique à tout ce qui se passe dans le cosmos.
So along this vertebral column, you have, because this energy is, this high power energy, this energy is from it is connected to the solar, because the source of this energy is the sun. So all the electromagnetic phenomenon is there in the space around us and the space within ourselves also. The space is full of this activity of the Rudras. Rudras are they are called the ethereal gods, and in another way, in scientific terms, they are the lords of electromagnetic activity. Because of this activity, you have the dawn of the nuclear activity. So all this is governed by this, and this is manifested in us, and there is a very precise arrangement of distribution of this energy, and that is why you have 6 power stations along the vertebral column. These devas, because there are many devas who are working on all this. It is not if we are aware or not, they don't care. We are not mostly aware of what is. Only for us, only vertebral column is something for our body to be, but it is not more than, it is more than that. It is all power stations. They installed the power stations, 6 power stations on this, along this vertebral column. And these power stations, they are working on each power station. They are working 10,000 of these. If you in terms of number, and there are 10,000 devas, deva forces, divine forces, because they are all having their work, and they have their counterparts. They are there is consciousness and their energies. So they are pairs. All these pairs are working at these power stations. And these power stations technically are called chakras.
Donc nous avons énormément d'énergie électrique en nous et toute cette énergie est connectée au soleil. Et donc nous pensons qu'il y a beaucoup d'électromagnétique dans l'espace ou autour de nous, mais en fait cette activité se passe aussi en nous et cette activité est gouvernée par les Rudras. C'est aussi maintenant l'ère nucléaire et donc tout ça a à voir avec l'activité des Rudras qui vibrent. En fait, le long de la colonne vertébrale, nous avons 6 centrales nucléaires qui travaillent et donc ces centrales nucléaires sont appelées chakras et par station il y a 10 000 devas qui travaillent parce qu'on a ceux-là, donc les devas, mais aussi leur contrepartie, donc ils travaillent en paire.
And these power stations or chakras, it is through these stations that the activity of the Panchabhutas, they are called, the 5 elements. In one way they are called the 5 elements, and they govern the different states of matter which are manifested in our body.
Et donc, ces 5 chakras gouvernent ce qu'on appelle les 5 bhutas, les 5 éléments. Et donc, ce sont différents états de matière dans notre corps.
You have the 5 states of matter. it is through the manifestation of these 5 states of matter that we have the manifestation of all the forms in this universe. And our body is constituted also in this same manner. So from the subtlest state to the grossest state, the subtlest is called Akasa. This Akasa is the one of the 5 states of matter, for the formation of matter. So this Akasa is the unit space. It is not the unbound space, but this is the unit space, Akasa, here. And further, it is from this subtlest state, there is the outcome of the next state, which is called Vayu. Vayu means the gaseous state. And this is unit space, the state of unit space. And further to this, there is Agni. This is the state of fire. And here is Agni. Agni has different levels of manifestations. In these 5 states of matter, Agni is also included as a state. And in this state, this fire aspect governs. I will tell you first, you note down. And then you have the further state through this condensation, and that is called Apas. Apas means liquid state. And the final grossest state is called Prithvi. Prithvi means solid state.
Et donc on a 5 états de matière qui nous donnent toutes les formes possibles et imaginables de l'univers, et donc aussi des états en nous. On va de l'état le plus subtil au plus grossier, donc on commence par Akasha qui veut dire unité espace, le Vayu qui veut dire l'état gazeux, Agni qui veut dire l'état de feu, et il y a plusieurs subdivisions et manifestations de ce feu. Puis on a Apas qui veut dire l'état liquide et Prithvi qui veut dire l'état solide.
So these 5 states of matter, they govern the activity of the 5 elements. And these 5 elements, which are governed by these 5 states of matter, they have their governance in these power stations in us. So, when you see from the base, this station at the base is called Mooladhara. Mula Adhara means Adhara. Adhara is the substratum. Adhara. So Mula means base. It is the base. And this Mooladhara governs the solid state in us. All the activity of the solid state in our body is governed by this station, power station. It is called Mooladhara.
Et donc, les activités des 5 éléments gouvernent aussi des activités dans les chakras. Par exemple, à la base, on a ce qu'on appelle Mooladhara. Mula, c'est la base, le Adhara, c'est plutôt le substrat. Alors, toute l'énergie qui va comprendre l'état solide est gouvernée par ce Mooladhara.
So in our body, all the functions of the solid aspect which we have, the form, the shape, the weight, volume, all this, because these are the properties of solids. So all these properties which are working in our body to keep all the solids, the form, that is all governed by this Mooladhara. This is the station from which they are working to keep up all this. And so they always work to keep the balance of this, unless we interfere and disturb them. If we do not interfere with their work and if we cooperate, everything will be all right. But generally that does not happen because we don't know all these things, and in our daily life we keep interfering with the work of the devas. They try to keep all this in good condition, but we do not allow them to keep it in good condition because of all our wrong things, or wrong activities.
Et donc, dans notre corps, nous avons toutes ces fonctions de la forme solide, par exemple le poids, et la forme qui est donc gouvernée par Mooladhara, et les devas œuvrent continuellement pour garder tout cet état en balance, et ils peuvent le faire, sauf si nous dérangeons cette force. Dans la vie de tous les jours, nous intervenons pas mal dans leur activité et donc c'est nous qui exerçons une activité néfaste sur leur travail.
And also, this Mooladhara also governs the instincts in us.
Le Mooladhara aussi gouverne les instincts en nous.
And also the functioning of our 5 senses it has also its governance with these stations.
Ainsi que la fonction de nos 5 sens.
So the sense of smell is governed by this Mooladhara.
Donc le sens de l'odeur est gouverné par Mooladhara.
Because smell is the phenomenon of sense of smell is the property of it is called Prithvi. Prithvi means solid state. So it is the property of the solid state.
Et donc l'odeur est appelée le Prithvi et donc c'est l'activité de l'état solide.
And then you have second station above this is Swadhisthana.
La deuxième centrale nucléaire s'est appelée Svadhisthana.
The Swadhisthana is the state, it is the center which in our constitution all the activity of fire is conducted through this.
Donc dans notre corps, toute l'activité concernant le feu est gouvernée par cela.
And here also, this also governs this Swadhisthana, the reflexes.
Ce centre gouverne aussi les réflexes.
This governs the instincts and this governs the reflexes. And the sense of sight is governed by this.
Ainsi que la vue.
Then the next station is called Manipura.
La station suivante s'appelle Manipura.
And this governs the liquid state. This Mooladhara is called base center. In English, it is base center, Mooladhara.
Muladhara en anglais s'appelle le centre de la base.
The Swadhisthana is called the spleen center.
Le Svadhisthana est le centre de la rate.
And Manipura is the center of solar plexus.
Manipura, c'est le plexus solaire.
So this Manipura governs emotions.
Et donc, Manipura gouverne les émotions.
And the sense of taste
Et le goût.
and then you have the next center is, it is called Anahata.
Le centre suivant s'appelle Anahata.
In English it's called heart center.
Le centre du cœur.
So it governs the gaseous state.
Et il gouverne l'état gazeux.
And this governs all the pulsations.
Cette station gouverne toutes les pulsations.
And this sense of touch.
Et le toucher.
And the next station is Vishuddhi. It is called throat center.
Vishuddhi ou le centre de la gorge.
This governs this Akasa state.
Et l'état Akasha est donc gouverné par Vishuddhi.
And this governs the power of utterance.
Et il gouverne le pouvoir de l'expression.
And governs the sense of hearing.
Et l'ouïe.
And next power station is called Ajna. It's called Ajna Chakra. And it is brow center.
L'étape suivante, c'est Agnya, c'est le centre entre les sourcils.
So it is above the 5 states of matter and it governs the activity of mind.
Et ça gouverne le mental. Il est au-dessus des sens.
So mind is called the sixth sense.
Donc le mental est appelé le sixième sens.
In the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, also Krishna explained that all the 5 senses, through the 6th sense, are contacting the objects of the senses in the outer world and receiving. So this activity, the activity of the senses is governed by the mind. Mind, therefore, it is called a 6th sense.
Donc l'activité du mental est gérée par le mental. L'activité des sens est gouvernée par le mental et donc c'est pour ça que le mental s'appelle le cinquième sens. Et donc dans le sixième sens. Et dans la Bhagavad Gita, il est aussi expliqué la même chose. Donc les 5 sens sont en contact avec les objets par le mental.
And you have the highest center. This is called Sahasrara.
Et la dernière station, la plus haute, s'appelle Sahasrara.
Symbolically, it is called the 1,000 petals lotus.
Le lotus a 1000 pétales.
In English, it is called head center.
En anglais, le centre de la tête.
That is it is also called as the highest point of illumination.
Il est aussi appelé le point le plus haut, le plus élevé de l'illumination.
This is higher to the level of mind.
Il est plus haut que le niveau mental.
So these first 3 are the where you have instincts, reflexes, emotions. These 3 are called the lower centers or lower natureness.
Et donc, la nature basse en nous, et donc, ce sont donc les 3 premières étapes, les 3 premiers chakras, qui contrôle donc les sens, les réflexes et les émotions et les instincts.
And this anahata, it governs all the pulsations, all the expansion and contraction activity, which is responsible for keeping a balance between centrifugal and centripetal activities.
Et donc anahata est le sens, et le produit aussi ou comprend aussi le sens de contraction et d'expansion et aussi de la force centripétale et centrifugale.
And this centripetal and centrifugal activity is governed by the magnetic law, the attraction and repulsion.
Et les forces centripétales et centrifugales sont gouvernées par la loi du magnétisme.
It is by the law of alternation, you have an alternate activity of centrifugal and centripetal functions in us.
Et c'est la loi de l'alternation qui fait que nous avons des forces centripétales et centrifugales en nous.
For example, you have alternation of inhalation and exhalation. That is a very immediate example.
Et donc, l'exemple le plus connu, le plus surprenant et ce qui saute à l'œil tout de suite, c'est celui de l'inspire et de l'expire.
So the process of inhalation is because of the operation of the centripetal force. That is why we are able to make inhalation, taking in all the oxygen and this activity. It is working from circumference towards the center. That is centripetal.
Et donc la force qui travaille de la circonférence vers le centre s'appelle la force centripétale et cette force-là est responsable pour l'inspire.
And our exhalation is made possible because of centrifugal activity. Centrifugal is from center to circumference.
Et l'action du centre vers la circonférence est donc appelée la force centrifugale et celle-là est responsable de notre expire.
So every moment there is alternation of these two forces, centripetal and centrifugal. Therefore we have alternation of inhalation and exhalation.
Et chaque moment, nous avons donc une alternation entre la centrifugale et la centripétale, et c'est pour cela que nous avons une alternation entre inspire et expire.
Our intake of food and drink, that is also due to the centripetal operation of centripetal force, and our excretion is this centrifugal force. That is also alternating.
Et donc le fait qu'on mange ou qu'on boit se rapporte à la force centripétale et qu'on a des excréments, c'est dû à la force centrifugale.
And not only that, there are many functions, centripetal and centrifugal, which are alternating in us. For example, we receive something by hearing or by all sensing and all this we receive into us. We are able to receive by all sensing, by sight or by hearing, by all this. How we are able to receive? We are able to receiving from circumference to center, all these things. And then we are able to express out also. So all this double activity, receiving and expressing, all this is due to the alternation of centripetal and centrifugal forces.
Il y a beaucoup d'applications en nous des deux formes, donc la force centripétale et la force centrifugale. Par exemple, nous sommes capables d'entendre et toute forme de réception qu'on a, et donc grâce à la force qui travaille de la circonférence vers le centre, donc la centripétale, et toutes les formes d'expression sont grâce à la force centrifugale.
And can we claim that all these activities are due to our own intelligence or are due to our effort? It is not due to our effort. It is all work of all the devas who are working in us. In spite of our, if we know about them or not, they don't care. Because it is the work given to them. They keep working continuously, even though we recognize them or not. Without being known, also they keep working. It is all the work of the devas, all these functions. And all this is from the cosmic level up to the individual level. All these functions are there on the cosmic plane, on the solar plane, planetary plane, and individual plane, on all the planes. Because what is all happening on the individual, on our level, is only the replica or the imitation of what is there on the cosmic plane. So when we realize this, our existence is to be understood as by the cosmic phenomenon.
Et donc on peut penser qu'on fait un effort pour nous garder en état ou en bon état, mais ce n'est pas du tout vrai. L'effort vient des devas qui œuvrent tout le temps et qui se calculent sur tout ce qui se passe dans le cosmos. Donc on a ce même processus qui se trouve au niveau cosmique, au niveau solaire, au niveau planétaire et au niveau individuel. Et tout ce que les devas font, c'est de copier ou imiter tout ce qui se passe au niveau du cosmos.
So see how the arrangement is. It is all very, very orderly and very precise. That is why it is the work of the devas. They are very orderly, very precise. They follow the form. They follow the plan. Exactly, they follow the plan, the cosmic plan. According to that, they keep working. That is why it is always. It is not by chance or by any means. It is all a very precise arrangement that you see in all this functioning, even our existence also. You see how the governance and all this is arranged. So these are all these power stations are governed by the solar and lunar sources, and all this interaction of solar, lunar and the fire. There are three principles: solar principle, lunar principle, and the fire principle, Agni. Because Agni, about Agni there are many suktas in Veda. You know, the very first sukta, the first text of Vedas is Rig Veda, and the very sukta, first sukta is Agni Sukta. And that Agni Sukta commences with the word Agni. The very first mantra is Agni Mide Purohitam Yajñasya Devam Rutvijam, like that. So with the word Agni starts.
Et donc, quand on observe toutes ces énergies et tous ces centres, on peut se dire qu'il y a vraiment un super arrangement entre les forces. C'est grâce aux devas, ils sont très bien ordonnés, très précis, et ils suivent le plan cosmique à la lettre. Et ils continuent à travailler selon donc les trois principes qu'on connaît très bien. C'est le principe lunaire, le principe solaire et le principe du feu, qui est aussi appelé Agni. Et aussi dans la Rig Veda, le premier sukta, c'est le sukta Agni, et le premier mot de ce sukta commence aussi par Agni.
So Agni there is the principle of Agni is the first, it is the principle of formation of center. If this principle of formation of center itself is called Agni. It is called the inauguration. Because for any activity, the cosmic or any levels, the activity starts after there is the inauguration. And the inauguration is the formation of the center. The center is always latent. So Agni, the name itself, signifies that which is latent. So even for the formation of solar system or anything also, it is Agni which is responsible. So first Agni is taken into consideration, because when center is formed or center is manifested, then you have the circumference around the center. So this Agni is called the center and the circumference is called Vishnu. That is technically what you find in the Vedas. They are these principles but not the persons. That is why all the names what you find in Veda, they are the names of the functions or principles but not the names of persons. Vishnu, Rudra, Agni, all these are not personalities. They are principles.
Et donc, Agni, ou le principe d'Agni, c'est le principe de la formation du centre, l'inauguration, si on veut. Chaque activité qu'on connaît commence par une inauguration. Et qu'est-ce que c'est une inauguration? C'est la formation du centre. Parce que dès qu'on a un centre, on a aussi la circonférence. Et le centre est toujours latent. Agni est toujours latent partout. Il est considéré comme le départ. Et dès qu'on a l'un, on a donc aussi l'autre, et on peut leur donner des noms comme Vishnu, Rudra, mais ce sont en fait pas des noms de fonctions, mais ce sont des principes.
So in Rudra Sukta, in many stanzas, you have the mention of the bow, and the bow is a symbolical expression of the path of activity of these energies, and in us also the bow is when you observe our head and then from the neck downwards towards the vertebral column, that gives that the shape of the bow. And because all the activity of Rudras is along with this manifestation, it is figuratively explained as that it is the bow in the hands of Rudra.
Et donc, dans le Rudra Sukta, nous parlons de l'arc, qui est donc symbole de l'activité de l'énergie. L'arc, on peut le voir donc à partir de la tête, en descendant par la nuque, la colonne vertébrale jusqu'au coccyx. Tout ça forme un arc, et on dit que c'est l'arc dans la main de Rudra.
So many aspects of the solar activity, all these principles are placed in this complex manner in the human being. That is why it is said that God created man in his own image. You find this sentence in Bible. God created man in his own image. What does it mean? That means all this, because all these cosmic principles they are kept in the creation of the human being in this manner.
Et donc il y a tellement d'aspects dans l'être humain qu'il y en a dans le cosmos. Et c'est pour cela qu'on dit dans la Bible, par exemple, Dieu créa l'homme en sa propre image, car on a toutes les caractéristiques et toutes les propriétés de Dieu même.
Therefore, we the human beings, when we think of God, we think in terms of our human form only.
Et donc, quand nous, les êtres humains, on pense à Dieu, on pense seulement à Dieu dans sa forme humaine.
In fact, every form of this creation it belongs to the Lord only, the God only. But we human beings, because we are created in the image, therefore we are habituated to feel. When we think of God, we think in our own image. Therefore, you see, when you make the pictures of angels and all these things, we make in the human form, but with some wings and these things. All these wings, all this representation is symbolic representation. Because the bird is another symbol. All these are symbols. A bird is another symbol of this cosmic activity.
Et donc toutes les formes qu'on trouve dans le cosmos ne sont que des formes du Créateur lui-même et appartiennent au Créateur seulement. Quand nous représentons certaines énergies, par exemple un ange ou la colombe, il y a en fait pas de forme qui n'existe pas dans le Créateur lui-même. Tout est créateur.
So this bow has two ends. One is the upper end and the lower end. You have these two ends represent the higher nature and lower nature in us.
Et donc, nous avons, quand on regarde l'arc, on a une partie supérieure et une partie inférieure, et la partie supérieure signifie notre nature élevée ou supérieure, et la partie basse signifie notre nature la plus basse, inférieure.
So the higher planes and lower planes are represented by the two ends of the bow, and the two ends are connected to each other, and this is held by the Lord in his hand. So all these what you see as higher nature and lower nature are the higher states and lower states of consciousness. All these are controlled, all these are held by the Lord consciousness. That is what is signified by expressing that this is a bow held by the Lord in his hand.
Et donc, quand on parle de la partie la plus haute et la partie la plus basse de l'arc, et que Dieu le tient en main, ça veut bien sûr dire que tous les états sont tenus en main par le Seigneur, par la conscience du Seigneur.
In our constitution, now since you know all this correspondence, so you have when you observe from lower, the instincts, reflexes and emotions, they belong to our lower nature, and our behavior, when our consciousness is in lower nature, our behavior is governed by instincts, reflexes and emotions.
Et donc, quand on se situe dans notre nature inférieure, notre constitution est basée sur les instincts, les réflexes et les émotions.
Instincts and reflexes, they are common for us. You can compare this, which is a common factor in all the animals and human beings.
Et on peut trouver les instincts et les réflexes dans tous les animaux et dans tous les êtres humains.
So, when the consciousness of the human being is not still evolved, then for many births, that individual dwells very much in the lower state, and his behavior will be influenced by only instincts and reflexes, and he doesn't know, therefore he dwells completely in the individual level.
Et donc, quand une personne a une conscience qui n'est pas évoluée, pendant beaucoup de naissances, il va résider dans les états inférieurs, et donc l'homme se trouve au niveau individuel.
And evolution is always progressive. Therefore, by the operation of the forces of nature, every being gets evolved from the lower to the higher natures, and gradually there will be a transformation, and that transformation may take some hundreds of births or thousands of births, unless we try to enter into the yogic way of living. Without that, this takes, when you leave it to its own course of evolution, every being will evolve. The consciousness will be, it continues to evolve from the lower kingdoms to the higher kingdoms. So, from the minerals, we know the theory of evolution, only a part of it. What is explained in the normal science as the theory of evolution by Darwin and others, it is only a part of it, not complete. Because those so-called scientists, Darwin, Lamarck, Mendel and all these scientists, they have explained only from the unicellular organism up to human being, human organism. They thought that this is all about evolution. They are ignorant of what was there before and what is there after also.
But it's also very good that they realized one part of it. Already very good.
A little part of it.
Yes, but not a lot of people realize just even a little part of it.
Yes, something is better than nothing.
Exactly.
But the science should not stop there. In the name of science, what is being taught even at the universities levels is only this. Evolution means only this. But there is evolution beyond this. Before this, beyond this, all this. Evolution is a very big phenomenon.
Donc l'évolution est progressive pour tout le monde, c'est ça qui est l'avantage. L'opération des forces de la nature sont en tout le monde, et donc tout le monde grandit, tout le monde évolue. Et si on laisse la nature prendre sa route normale, ceci va très très lentement, et on peut en faire 1000 naissances et toujours en être au même stade ou juste très peu évoluer. Mais quand on entre dans l'état yogique, on va accélérer le processus, Et quand on regarde la science, par exemple la théorie de l'évolution de Darwin, par exemple, ce n'est qu'un fragment de l'évolution qui est réellement en train de se dérouler, parce qu'il y a évidemment de l'évolution avant cela, mais aussi après. Et même dans les états qu'on ne peut pas voir et qu'on soupçonne qui sont là, il y a de l'évolution.
So the higher and the lower states, the higher state is called in Sanskrit Urdhva Loka. Urdhva means higher. And the lower state is called Atho Loka. Atho means Atha, that is lower. Urdhva and Atho Loka. Loka means states, planes. Loka means planes. Higher plane and lower plane.
Et donc on a, comme on a dit, deux états ou deux niveaux. C'est l'inférieur et le supérieur. L'inférieur est appelé Atho, Loka. Loka veut dire niveau. Et Urdhva veut dire le plus haut.
Superior.
Supérieur, ouais, le plus haut.
So, what you call knowledge is on the higher plane and ignorance is on lower plane. These are the two poles like this.
Et donc, ce qu'on appelle la connaissance ou l'intelligence, ça appartient au niveau le plus élevé et l'ignorance appartient au niveau le plus bas.
And similarly, you have all the pairs, for example, happiness and sorrow.
Et nous avons donc tous les paires, donc comme la joie et la tristesse.
All the divine faculties in us, they work through the center of Ajna, the pro center. The divine faculties keep working in us from the pro center, and the lower faculties are, you can say them as the diabolic forces. They work from the Mooladhara, from the center.
Et donc, toutes les facultés en nous qui sont divines fonctionnent à partir du centre entre les sourcils, et les facultés démoniques ou les facultés inférieures sont opératifs à partir du Mooladhara.
So when our consciousness is stabilized only in lower centers, then our behavior will be devilish behavior. Because it is completely governed by instincts and reflexes.
Et donc, quand notre conscience est seulement élevée au centre inférieur, on aura une nature démonique.
So the string which connects this higher and lower, that string is what is called samsara. It is a technical term.
Et donc la corde qui relie les deux bouts de l'arc est appelée samsara, qui est en termes techniques.
That signifies the experience of the cyclic activity of coming into the form and again going out of the form again and again to undergo all this transformation. So that is samsara. And that will be like a bondage until your consciousness rises to the higher plane and for the stimulation of the divine activity. Till then it is a bondage. When once it rises, then it is liberated.
Et donc, l'expérience de l'activité cyclique, donc entrer dans la forme et sortir de la forme et passer par la transformation est appelé un esclavage. Parce que ce n'est que jusqu'à ce que la conscience est stimulée par une activité divine qu'il monte et qui se libère.
In this stanza, it is mentioned about Ishavaha, these arrows. What are the arrows? These arrows signify our senses, activity of our senses. Our senses are the arrows.
Et donc dans cette stanza, on parle de flèches. Et c'est quoi les flèches? Ce sont nos sens.
So when we submit ourselves to the Lord, then the arrows are under His control. Otherwise, the senses are out of control and we are controlled by them. And due to our wrong behavior, because when we are under the control of senses, we go into indulgence, and then our behavior is the lower type of behavior, that means with instincts, reflexes and emotions only in the mundane life. Then what happens is these arrows, the activity of the senses will be shooting, or they are shot upon us like arrows. And we undergo misery and suffering because of this. So in this stanza, it is said that it is a addressed to Rudra. Please keep the arrows away, not for shooting. So Rudra is asked to keep the arrows with him, under his control. And the string is released. That means to release our lower nature, liberate it into higher nature, and our senses keep under your control, so that we don't need to undergo all these miseries and suffering, because our consciousness is elevated into the higher plane. That is the essence of this.
Donc, dans cette stanza, on parle de flèches, et les flèches sont nos sens. Nous sommes contrôlés par nos sens quand on vit dans la nature, quand on vit dans notre nature inférieure, et qui est infernale. Et donc, qu'est-ce qu'on va faire? On va indulger dans beaucoup de choses, on va vivre par nos instincts, par nos réflexes, par nos émotions. Et donc, ce sont les flèches qui sont tirées vers nous, alors, dans ce cas-là. Et donc, nous, on va se soumettre à la misère, à l'agressivité, à toute la nature inférieure. Et c'est pour cela que Rudra est demandé de contrôler la corde, c'est-à-dire de la relâcher et de la tenir en main, parce que comme ça, notre nature basse est absorbée dans la nature haute et nous ne devons pas vivre donc toute la négativité et notre conscience sera élevée.
So Rudra or Shiva is also called Pashupati. Many times you find this word. Pashupatayecha. He is called Pashupati because Pashu means, Pashu signifies animal, the cattle. Why he is called Pashupati is, we have our five senses signified by the cattle, and the cattle often we tie a string to have a control over them, you see. Cattle are animals. So, you see her dogs, if you don't tie the string or something, you cannot control them. So the animals need to be controlled by having a string. to tie a string and hold the string to control them. So, our senses are like animals, and they are to be controlled by a string which should be in the hands of Rudra. That is why he is called Pasupati.
It's a nice name for a cow. Rudra is also called Shiva, but he also has another name, and that is Pashupati. Et Pashu veut dire animal. Et donc, nos 5 sens signifient donc, dans la traduction banale, les cinq animaux. Et pourquoi c'est une comparaison à cela? Parce que très souvent, les animaux, on les garde à une corde et on les tient comme ça pour avoir un tout petit peu de contrôle sur eux. Et donc, on peut dire que c'est la comparaison des sens et la conscience.
So this is about this stanza of Rudra Suktham.
Et ceci termine les stanzas qu'on vient d'étudier.
So with this, we completed the study of Rudra Sukta for this session.
Et donc, c'est là où s'arrête notre étude de Rudra Suktham.
Which was concluded, ended by the entrance of Yap.
Et c'est là où Yap apparaît.